Can you see that this is like what I'm dealing with my hair? It's just like crazy. Let's just ignore it, please. In my March favorites video, during the lifestyle section, I had brought up a couple of food items and sort of asked if you guys would be interested in hearing more about my gluten-free ways. One of the main dietary changes I've made over the last 2 months as a result of my medical intuitive session has been eliminating gluten to the best of my ability. I do not have celiac disease, but it came back from the medical intuitive that gluten is not good for me. In fact, he told me that in general, he's found in his practice that I believe 2/3 of people seem to have some kind of issue with gluten. So it is a really sort of pervasive food sensitivity that's contributing to inflammation in the body. But with that said, I still don't think that you should cut it out unless you know for sure, either through a traditional food allergy test or working with my medical intuitive, however you feel aligned. So today I just want to share with you some of my kind of new staple gluten-free products. Some of these things had been in my life before. I've kind of been on the healthy alternative food bandwagon for a number of years, which probably doesn't surprise you. But I did have to replace some big things like bread and cereal, and I changed out brands in a couple things. So, and also I do want to say that while we now live in a world, at least in the United States, where there are so many options for people on special diets, I have always sort of not wanted to rely on processed products a lot. I used to be vegetarian and vegan back in the day, and I just like got to this point where I was like, oh my God, there's such a proliferation of like vegan junk food that's not healthy at all. And so the same can be said for gluten-free. A lot of it can be very processed. Some of the things I have here are kind of, I guess, on that spectrum, but I guess for me, it's kind of a balance between eating whole foods and then kind of getting like some variety and having some treats. But I don't like to rely on overly processed stuff ever, regardless of what kind of dietary leanings I have. Another quick thing before we get into my gluten-free favorites is that something that my medical intuitive Adam could tell you during a session is whether or not you need to cut out a food for the short term while your body sort of recalibrates and heals, or over the long term. And unfortunately for me, gluten is a long-term thing. And truthfully, I have had bits of gluten here and there. Over the last 2 months, I go off protocol. It's just going to kind of slow down your progress because your body then has to attend to dealing with the inflammation. I am not a perfectionist. I don't like to be rigid about anything in the lifestyle realm, and that includes diet. Like, I want to live my life. If you guys know me, you know I have a very 80-20 approach to life. With this, I have been a little bit more strict just because I sort of feel like the first 6 months of implementing my medical intuitive changes, the dietary changes and the supplements and a few other lifestyle things are sort of the most critical time. I would say that at this point with my dietary and lifestyle changes, I'm more like 95-5. So I have been being strict, although it doesn't feel like a chore or I don't have a negative attitude about it. So I'm gonna stop blabbing. If you have more questions about sort of my philosophy and approach to these things, we can discuss in the comments. But the first thing is something that I was actually eating before and was part of my list that I had Adam check, and it's the pasta that I rely the most heavily on. Well, it's the only pasta I eat, and I have this a lot. It's the Jovial brand gluten-free brown rice pasta. The penne is my favorite. Sometimes I get the corkscrews fusilli as well. And then I think I've even mentioned this in a favorites video before. This is lentil pasta. My favorite brand is the Modern Table Meals lentil pasta. I actually normally get the one that's in the sort of cranberry red color packaging. And the difference is that this is just all green lentil pasta, and the red packaging is red and green lentil pasta. So they're fine. I can't really tell a difference, to be honest with you. But this is just one of my favorite meals to make. I'll do a mix of these with lots of different vegetables and some kind of protein. In general, I love the brand Jovial because they do have gluten-free products, but their wheat products utilize a non-hybridized form of wheat, so kind of an ancient form of wheat that's supposed to be better for you. Pasta is such an easy thing to swap out. At this point, normal pasta, I can't even tell you the last time I had normal pasta. I think it was actually at a restaurant maybe sometime in the fall, and it tasted weird, and B, definitely sat in my stomach like a rock, so I feel like I digest that stuff better. So the next thing is a replacement product for bread. I love having toast in the morning. I love making almond butter and jelly sandwiches. So the bread that I now have, 2 different varieties from Udi's. It's the millet and chia and the omega flax and fiber. Before this, I had been doing sprouted grain breads like actually I never really got Ezekiel. I'm blanking on the brand I got. Food for Life maybe, or no, Alvarado Street Bakery. I used to always get those breads and I liked them. So I definitely needed a bread replacement. The thing with working with Adam too is that some of them will come back a no through his resourcing and some of them will come back a yes. So what he did for me is we went on to, I thought of 2 brands that I see at the grocery store all the time, Udi's and Rudy's. And so we were on the phone and he sat on the website and went through all of the varieties of bread and gave me yeses and nos. And these 2 came back as okay in the Udi's brand. So I like them a lot. I like this one a little bit better, the omega flax and fiber, but it's nice to have the variety. This one did take a little bit of getting used to it. It's not like having wheat bread, but I'm totally used to it now and I think it's yummy. The next thing, I was gonna have a major conniption if I could not have blue corn tortilla chips in my life. So there was actually an issue with the brand that I had been consuming before. The Garden of Eden blue corn tortilla chips. The Garden of Eden are not good because they don't use organic oil apparently. But this brand, I told Adam, I was like, no, like I have to have blue corn tortilla chips. He was like, don't worry. He was like, you need to go get the Que Pasa organic blue corn tortilla chips. And these are also sprouted and they do use organic oil, so they're just sort of a better brand to have. They're also less salty, I find, than the Garden of Eden ones, but they were a totally good replacement. I was happy to make, so thank God. One quick thing I will mention, because I don't happen to have any right now, is I've also been relying on organic non-GMO corn tortillas. At my Whole Foods, I spotted this brand that's local to Boston, like minimal ingredient, like where the only ingredients are stone ground corn and like lime usually. You have to be careful with corn tortillas because a lot of times they do mix them with traditional flour. So you really want to just look for ones that are like 100% stone ground organic non-GMO corn, because as I'm sure you know, corn is one of the crops that's so heavily pervasive with GMOs. So I love those corn tortillas. I have them in the morning. I'll make like breakfast tacos. Thank God I do not have an allergy to corn, which is a very common food allergy. I told Adam, I think it's because I always, like, I have this French obsession, but I also feel very connected to like my Aztec roots. My mother is Mexican American, so I've always had this like special affinity for things like corn and squash and chocolate and kind of the traditional Mesoamerican foods as well. Okay, the next thing, I thought I would show you guys kind of the grains that I rely the most on, because I really did have to, I always would have things like rice and quinoa, but I've had to start having them more just because I can't be lazy and like have baguette and cheese for dinner anymore, really. So the three things that I guess I rotate the most in and out of are white rice. I usually get organic basmati or jasmine, and then I'll interchange sometimes with brown rice. This is a basmati wild rice blend from Lundberg Farms. And then I usually always have a bag of quinoa around. This is just the one I happen to have. It's the Alter Eco organic red quinoa. I've also gone through bags of sprouted quinoa. That's actually a follow-up conversation that I want to have with Adam about the benefits of sprouting, either yourself or buying sprouted foods. I think we maybe talked about it briefly once, but he's like my guru. Can you tell? I'm like still so obsessed with him. Okay, the next thing is cereal. I'm not really like a big cereal person. I don't find it a very satisfying thing to eat, but sometimes, like especially if I've been out late and I'm hungry, I like having a bowl of cereal at like 2:30 in the morning before I go to bed, just because I feel like it digests quickly and then I can sleep because my stomach is not growling and I'm not eating like shitty takeout or something. Gluten-free boxed, actually neither one of these I have checked with Adam about, so I might need to, but for boxed cereal, I've been having the Nature's Path Mesa Sunrise around. It is gluten-free. There's tons of gluten-free cereals. I just went for this. Also, I like that it has corn. And it's kind of a nice like little filler. I don't want to sit down and just eat a bowl of like straight granola. I like mixing granola with like a lighter cereal like this. So this is totally fine. I like it. I don't have it that much. It probably takes me like 2 months to go through a box like this, but it's like nice to have around. Now, the more challenging thing to find was granola because, and I should have mentioned, I also can't do oats, which I am less sad about than gluten. So oats are one of those things that I've eaten my whole life and always felt shitty after eating them. So now I understand why. Finding a granola without oats and also without nuts. So the only nuts that I'm currently eating are almonds, really. And I can do pine nuts as well. But this is just sort of a PSA for anyone watching. Pretty much all nuts are not a great thing to be consuming ever / on a regular basis. Like, I don't like to tell people what to do, but there's a lot of benefits that are touted with eating nuts, but what I've come to understand from my conversations with Adam, and sort of intuitively knew before, is that the benefits of a food don't always outweigh the inflammation or issues that they're creating in your body. And I think nuts are a really good example of that. I can do seeds, and most people can do seeds, like sunflower seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds that I talked about in a previous video, hemp seeds. So I stumbled on this brand also because Adam told me that tiger nut flour is a good gluten-free baking alternative. I have tried tiger nuts before, just like the actual tiger nuts, and I thought that they were kind of weird. If you don't know, I mean, I didn't really know what tiger nuts were either. They're not nuts, they're actually a small root vegetable, and apparently were 80% of our paleo ancestors' diet 2 million years ago. Vitacost carries this brand, Organic Gemini, and they do 2 different kinds of raw granola. So I decided to try. They do a banana cacao, which I've gone through a bag of, and this apple cinnamon. This is so yummy. I definitely prefer this flavor. So the only ingredients in this are tiger nuts, gala apple, dates, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, raisins, flaxseed, hemp seed, cinnamon, clove, cardamom, nutmeg, vanilla, and Himalayan pink salt. Everything is organic, made in Brooklyn. I mean, what more can you ask for? I just am like a fan of it, and it's really nice to have this around. I have it on yogurt with fruit. I'll mix it with the other cereal. Really good. Okay, the next thing is also not new, but they're such a staple for me. Literally, I probably have these every day, and it's macro bars. I recently got 2 boxes of the smaller ones because a full macro bar is actually pretty substantial. So sometimes I just want like a little add-on to a meal or have it with something else. So the small ones are great. Not all I can't have all the flavors because a lot of them do have peanuts in them. But previously, my favorite flavor and still continues to be the sesame butter and dates. And then I also got a box of the mini almond butter and carob. So this is what the little ones look like, and they're just a great little snack, and I am so reliant on these. Okay, and then I'm gonna end with 2 little treats because we all need treats in life. The first this is what I mentioned in my March favorites. And they're the Jovial gluten-free organic cream-filled organic chocolate cookies. These do have a pretty long ingredient list, so like I'm saying, this is one of the more sort of like processed treat-like foods, I guess. I don't have these. I maybe have a pack of these once a week. If you didn't watch that video, they come 2 to a pack like this, individually packaged, which is really nice so they don't go stale. And they're absolutely delicious. They are soy-free. Someone asked me if these are dairy-free, so I'm checking quickly. They do have eggs in them, but they look like they're dairy-free as well, if that's something you avoid. I do not. And then the last thing are these heavenly, absolutely delicious macaroons by the brand Hail Mary. I have had this brand sort of in and out of my kitchen for a while. I really like also the tarts that they do. They're really like rich and sort of dense, but if you have like an intense chocolate craving, you need to go get like the double chocolate Hail Mary little like tart that they make. Oh my god, it's so good. So they do like 5 or 6 different flavors of the coconut macaroons, and this is by far my favorite. They're the chocolate chip Cookie Dough Mary Bites. They have, you know, all the buzzwords strung along here. They're vegan, if you're vegan, gluten-free, non-GMO, dairy-free, paleo-friendly. Oh, they're literally so good. I'll get the vanilla ones. I've tried the caramel ones, which are okay. I'm not really a caramel person, which I know is really weird. They have a lemon one, they have a chocolate one, they have a strawberry one, but highly recommend these. So that is going to do it from me today. I hope that you found this useful and informative. If you would like to see me do more about food, I feel like every time I do a food related video, I ask that and everybody's like, yes. But if you have like specific ideas for things you would like me to do, definitely leave me a comment. I mean, I'm happy to keep talking about this stuff because I'm very, very happy to be on this trajectory, and I'm happy to share parts of it with you guys if you're interested. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you'd like to keep up with my videos, and I will see you guys back here in a couple of days in the next one.